Asus has been doing pretty well in the 10 to 20k segment with the help of the Zenfone Max Pro, but until recently they didn't have any offerings below the 10k segment. With the introduction of the Zenfone Max M1, that has changed. This is Sandeep from RevAtlas and here's the review of the Zenfone Max M1. Let's start with the display on this thing. It's been a while since we had a budget smartphone with a good display, and this actually is one of them. At 5.45 inches in terms of size, it's pretty compact, but it's a good sweet spot in terms of a trade-off between the screen estate and physical size, I feel. The IPS panel has 720p of resolution with 18:9 aspect ratio and no notch. In terms of sharpness, the display is great, and at this particular screen size, you don't really need a 1080p in my opinion, which would only drain the battery life further, and since it's not intended for VR purposes, this should be good enough. The display is brighter and has better sunlight legibility than most other smartphones in the segment, including the Redmi 6. The bezels aren't too minimal, but it's on the lower side for a phone in this segment, and the 2.5D curved glass feels good as well. My favorite aspect of the smartphone is probably the design. I could be feeling it better, especially since I shifted to this phone after testing out some bigger size phones, but I felt at ease with the overall design and size. There's something comforting about a small size phone which feels effortless to use that you don't get in bigger screen phones. Of course, the viewing experience may not be as good, but that's a trade-off that you have to make for the comfort, and I'm guessing there will be a fair share of people who want a smartphone of this size. The design is really simple, but it looks good and ergonomically is great too. The rounded corners feel good and the build quality is solid. Although it's not metal, but rather plastic with a metallic finish, it doesn't make it any less sturdy. Asus has come a long way in terms of making their UI more fluid and lighter. The phone comes with Android 8 Oreo and Zen UI 5 on top of it. There's much less of bloatware apps pre-installed as well, and it's not as lightweight as the Max Pro, which has stock Android, but is very close and UI is pretty slick. Performance is good for daily use cases, but with the Snapdragon 430 you can't really go deep dive into heavy multitasking or gaming, but for the target group it should serve well. There's 3GB of RAM and 32GB of storage, and is currently the only single variant available, at least for now. Storage is expandable courtesy of a triple card slot that houses 2 nano SIMs and a dedicated microSD card slot. I really wish they included support for dual band Wi-Fi, but it supports only 2.4 GHz networks and not 5 GHz. One major plus point is that the device has support for L1 wideband, which is extremely rare, especially for a phone in this price segment. The L1 support means that the phone can stream HD content from Netflix, Prime, etc. It also supports Project Treble, but seamless updates and Camera 2 API aren't supported. There's a rare motor fingerprint scanner and has a face unlock feature out of the box, but sadly, both need a lot of optimization as they feel pretty slow. We're hoping that Asus works on them and tweaks them with performance via software updates. The camera unit at the back is a 13MP f2 1.12 micron pixel size sensor, while you have an 8MP f2 1.12 micron sensor at the front. We'll discuss the cameras in detail during our review, but here are some samples to show you what to expect. The audio quality of the headphone jack is decent, but higher powered headphones can't be driven well. The speaker at the bottom is fairly loud too, but is a mono experience and quality is decent. The phone is compact but still manages to house a 4000 mAh battery, which is evident when you pick up the phone due to the weight, but otherwise is tough to tell. You get a 10-watt charger in the box and it charges over micro USB. Battery life is very good and we got 8+ hours of screen on time on any given day. Overall, the Zenfone Max M1 is probably one of the best offerings in this particular price segment, and I quite like it for the good screen, design, as well as good battery life and also support for wideband L1 support. If those things are something that you have in your tick box, then this is one smartphone that'll keep you happy. Thanks for watching this video. See you again in the next one.